So we're going to continue where we just started chapter 7 yesterday. We're going to keep continuing with chapter 7. What time of year is this?
December.
Christmas. Who's over at, who's with the Logan family?
Papa.
Papa's home. Uncle Tanner is there visiting. And Mr. Morrison is at the house. They were celebrating Christmas, having lots of yummy food, cooking. They were telling stories. What type of story was Mr. Morrison telling that we're still reading? Jackie.
About his family and Night Riders.
The family and Night Riders. So on our active reading guide, we're going to add this in because we now know really how Mr. Morrison changed the mood. How did he change the mood? What was that, Jackie?
We started talking about the Night Riders and his family getting killed.
So he started to share a tragic story about his family being killed. That's a nice detail for us to add about the plot. Now we know why. Yes, Annie. Okay, let's say that. Being killed by night. Do we know for sure they're Night Riders? I don't honestly remember. We do?
Yeah.
Yep. Night Riders. Awesome.
You said those Night Riders.
Night Riders is one word. Thank you, Google Docs. So Mr. Morrison is talking about how some Night Riders came. What day did they come on? Christmas Day. This happened. He's telling the story, yes, David, in Christmas Eve in their time, their present time. But the story he's telling happened on Christmas Day when he was only 6 years old. Yes, Annie.
Annie says that we were nothing to them, no better than dogs.
Right. That's how they were being treated by the white people. Do you need more time to add this detail?
Yes.
I'm going to give you time, but if you're wondering, we're on page 149. Yep, I'm going to reread the paragraph before because it's really important and it's going to lead into a good discussion we're going to have. Yep, we're going to start right here on My Sisters. Ready, Carmen? Yes. Awesome. Page 149. I'm going to reread one paragraph, so we're going to start at My Sisters. My sister, and who's talking? Awesome, we're on the same page. My sister got killed in the fire, but my mama got me out. His voice faded, and he touched the scars on his neck. One moment. That way we can hear. I don't have to shout too loud. Mrs. Ribbon's coming back. She's just taking care of some things. His voice faded, and he touched the scars on his neck. She tried to get back into the house to save the girls, but she couldn't. Them nightmen was all over her, and she threw me like I was a ball, hard as she could, trying to get me away from them. What type of figurative language is that? She threw me just like I was a ball. What's the word in that sentence? Like. What's being compared?
A ball and a baby.
A ball and how Mr. Morrison got maybe pushed or shoved away for safety. Nice. Good understanding, you guys. That's a good connection from last week's lesson. Then she fought like a wild thing right side my daddy. Another simile. They was both of them from breeding stock, and they was strong like bulls. Another simile. Breeded stock, I said. What's that? Cassie, don't interrupt Mr. Morrison, said Mama. But Mr. Morrison turned from the fire and explained. Well, Cassie, during slavery, there was some farms that mated folks like animals to produce more slaves. Breeded slaves brought a lot of money for them slave owners, especially after the government said they couldn't bring no more slaves from Africa. And they produced all kinds of slaves to sell on the block. And folks with enough money, white men and even free black men, could buy exactly what they wanted. My folks was bred for strength, like they folks and they grand folks for 'em. Didn't matter none what they thought about the idea. Jose, you need to focus on this by yourself so Javier can focus on his book. Thanks. Didn't matter none what they thought about the idea. Didn't nobody care. What does Mr. Morrison mean by saying that his family was breeded stock?
They made mate and so they can become stronger, like dogs.
They're slaves.
Okay, so they were trying to produce really strong slaves. Is that what you're trying to say, David?
Yeah.
Annie?
They were trying to make born as slaves, but they tried to make them strong so they could lift wood and everything.
Do you know what it means when you breed animals?
Yeah.
When you breed animals, you are trying, if I have some cattle, some cows, and I want to have more cows for my ranch so I can get more milk, I'm going to breed cows. I'm going to have 2 cows come together, get the mama cow to have babies, and then I'm going to have baby cows. I'm going to take care of those baby cows, raise them up to be really strong, so then I have more cows to milk and have more milk for my dairy farm. No, I'm just example. During this time of Roll of Thunder, they did the same exact thing with slaves. Even when sorry, I'm trying to think of an easy way to explain this. They took 2 strong slaves and they forced them to have more slaves. Hi, Mr. Bradford.
Hi, is Mrs. Scriven here?
She left to go take care of something, and to be honest with you, I couldn't tell you where she went.
Okay, don't worry about it.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah, no problem. So they took slaves and they forced them to have children, so that they could have young babies that they're going to raise to have more slaves. And they were trying to make strong slaves who are capable of doing a lot of labor, a lot of work for them. Am I making sense?
Yes.
Yes.
So Mr. Morrison is explaining that that's what happened in his family. So they were purposely born to be very strong, big slaves. What is Mr. Morrison's size? Do you remember?
That big.
He's giant.
Bigger than
So they purposely put together a father and a mother that were both big in size in order to have a child who is also very big in size. Am I making sense? A little bit. It's a weird concept, I know, because it's out of what seems like humans should be doing. Annie.
And I get why they breed, because once they start breeding, they can start training them to be slaves, and then they'll start to want to be slaves for the rest of their lives,
Yep.
and they don't know what the real world is like without being a slave.
That's right. So they're born to be a slave, they don't know anything different, and their life is slavery. Bottom of 149. So let's say this. This is an important point to put in our active reading guide. And this is just part of the plot that Mr. Morrison, oops, I'm underlined. It likes to do that for some reason.
Yeah, I think I have a way actually.
Yeah, I've highlighted the whole thing and it still won't cooperate with me. Mr. Morrison explained that his family was breeding stock. Why am I putting breeding stock in quotation marks?
Because Mr. Morrison said it?
Yeah, exactly, David. Mr. Morrison said those exact words. So I'm going to put those in quotation marks. Because you don't want people stealing your words. one since we've surrounded them with quotation marks. Totally fine, no worries. So the bottom of 149, but my mama and daddy, they loved each other and they loved us children. And that Christmas, they fought them demons out of hell like avenging angels of the Lord. That's Mr. Morrison explaining that Christmas day for them. He turned back toward the fire and grew very quiet. Then he raised his head and looked at us. They died that night. Them night men killed them. Some folks tell me I can't remember what happened that Christmas. I weren't hardly 6 years old, but I remembers all right. Hey Naya, we're reading Rule of Thunder, and Alana and Riley can help show you where we're at. Doesn't matter, not our business. Them night men killed them. Some folks tell me I can't remember what happened that Christmas. I weren't hardly 6 years old, but I remembers all right. I make myself remember. Do you guys ever have something happen in your life that you want to make sure you remember?
Yes.
And you might not have remembered everything else that happened that year, but that one event you really do remember very vividly. That's what's going on for Mr. Morrison. He grew silent again and no one spoke. Big Ma poked absently at the red-eyed logs with the poker, but no one else stirred. Finally, Mr. Morrison stood, wished us a good night, and left. Uncle Hammer stood also. Guess I'll turn in too. It's near 1 o'clock. Whew, that's late. Wait a while, Hammer, said Big Ma. Now you and David both home, I gotta talk to y'all about the land. Whose land?
Their
Their land. They live on a nice big farm. Visions of nightmen and fire mixed in a cauldron of fear awakened me long before dawn. Automatically, I rolled toward the comforting presence of Big Ma, but she was not beside me. A soft light still crept under the door from Mama and Papa's room, and I immediately hurried toward it. As I opened the door and stepped into the shadowy room, lit now only by the flickering yellow of the low fire, Big Ma was saying, "Y'all start messing with these folks down in here, no telling what will happen. It is better just to sit back and complain about how they do us," Mama snapped, her voice rising. "Everybody from Smellings Creek to Strawberry knows it was them. But what do we do about it? We line their pockets with our few pennies and send our children up to their store to learn things they've got no business learning. The older children are drinking regularly there now, even though they don't have any money to pay, and the Wallaces are simply adding the liquor charges to the family bill. Just more money for them as they ruin our young people. As I see it, the least we can do is stop shopping there. It may not be real justice, but it will hurt them and we'll have done something. Mr. Turner and the Averys and the Laniers and over 24 other families, and perhaps even more, say they'll think about not shopping there if they can get credit somewhere else. We owe it to the Berries." "Frankly," interrupted Uncle Hammer, "I'd rather burn them out myself." "Hammer, you go to burning and we'll have nothing," Mama retorted. "Ain't gonna have nothing no way," replied Uncle Hammer. "You think by shopping up at Vicksburg you're gonna drive them Wallaces out? Then you got no idea of how things work down here. You forgetting Harlan Granger backs that store?" "Mary, child, Hammer's right," Big Ma said. "I'm doing what I told you about this land because I don't want some legal thing to come up after I'm done that." Oh, sorry, I gotta reread that sentence. "I'm doing what I told you about this land because I don't want some legal thing to come up after I'm gone that let the Harlan Granger get this place. But But we go backing folks credit with our land, we'd lose it for sure. And we do that, I couldn't face Paul Edward. I didn't say we should back it, Mama said, but we're just about the only family with any collateral at all. What did the Logan family have that not all black families have?
Land.
Land. So I'm going to give you a question to answer in Pear Deck.
Miss Clark, can I have a question for that?
Oh, sure can.
I bet a lot of you don't know what collateral means.
It's O-L-M-J.
You want to tell your neighbor?
Good question. What does collateral mean? Did you get it, Naya?
For money.
Turn and talk to your neighbor.
Just a second.
Anyone have an idea? What does collateral mean? Jackie. Nice and loud for us.
Money, valuables.
I can use money as a collateral, for sure.
Maybe like they have tradables or like valuables.
Yeah, what do the Logans have that's valuable?
Land.
So, this happens sometimes. Let's say I'm going to borrow somebody's computer.
Oh.
They might ask me, oh, well, give me your driver's license, and you can borrow the computer. I'm in the same building as them. I'm not
Oh, I
trying
know
to
what
drive
you mean.
anywhere.
Just
And
one
I give them my driver's license because is my driver's license valuable to me?
Yes.
Yes, I don't want to lose it. I want that back. When I'm done using that person's computer, and I return the computer, they'll give the driver's license back to me. So they were using my driver's license as collateral to,
Hold hostage.
yeah, to make sure I returned their property of their computer. So the Logan families would use their land as collateral. Is that making sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
So here's my question. Are you on a good Pear Deck slide? Did I do that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. What question am I going to ask you?
I'm sorry.
What does, I'm going to ask you two questions. Well, I'm going to get to the right page. I'm doing my magic show here. Here we go. They're plot questions. I'll make them yellow so you know you're going to answer them. What does Big Ma want to, you know what? Okay, sure, let's do this. What does Big Ma want to protect?
I have an idea.
Do you have any idea?
I
She's talking about the land. Okay, first, I am jumping ahead. So we will answer that, but this is what I want us to say. Sorry guys, thanks for your patience with me. Here we go. This is not a question. We're gonna do this together, and then we'll answer that question I just asked. What did Mama say about the Wallace store? What's her idea about the Wallace store?
Stop shopping there.
Stop shopping there. So Mama, it's actually Mama. Mama wants to stop shopping at the Wallace store. This is not a question, so we're not gonna highlight it. Big Mama wants to stop shopping where?
The Wallace store.
Big Mama wants to stop shopping at the Wallace store. Okay, no problem, Annie. What is Uncle Hammer saying? What's his reaction to that? Does he think that's a great idea? Or does he have a different idea?
That's a different idea.
He has a different idea. What's his idea? Maggie. Oh, thank you. Mama wants to stop shopping at the Wallace store. Uncle Hammer, what? What's Uncle Hammer's different idea?
Can I write it?
Let's write that in. Let's answer that next question in Pear Deck. So in Pear Deck, what is Uncle Hammer's response to Mama's idea? That's what you're going to answer in third act, this yellow question. What is Uncle Hammer's response to Mama's idea of stopping to shop and buy things from the Wallaces at their store? I'm going to check out your responses as you give them to me. Bless you. Thank you for capitalizing Uncle and Hammer.
Oh, can I see you guys outside? You doing something like Lexia?
I'm seeing some great responses. I'm collecting some responses to share.
Lexia reading something?
So if he thinks it's a bad idea, what's his idea? He has a different idea. I agree. Uncle Hammer does not agree with Mama. So what's his new idea? If you're having a hard time remembering this, you can look back on page
151.
151 towards the bottom. Second half, the bottom half of page 151.
Writing my answers down.
Nice, Annie. That's a great idea. Yes, Emily. You sure can. Here's a few responses to share. In case you're having a hard time with this one. Mama wants to stop shopping at the Wallace store. Uncle Hammer wants to burn the store down. Big Mom, Mama, and Papa do not think that he should because it would mean that the Wallaces have a reason to hurt or kill them. What happens when you stand up for yourself as a black person during this time?
The white people will send the night riders to kill you.
The Night Riders may come. You'll get tortured, possibly killed.
You'll get tarred too.
You could get tarred and feathered. Good memory, Carmen. That's true. Mama wants to stop shopping at the Wallace store, but Uncle Hammer says that he thinks that this is a bad idea and he wants to just burn it out himself. Uncle Hammer wants to burn down the Wallace store.
Yeah.
I agree. You can add to your response. Use your friends, use your classmates' help to guide you through this. Copy and paste this into our problem section of our active reading guide. Right here, you're gonna paste it right in underneath Mama wants to stop shopping at the Wallace store. Have you ever felt the need to harm people out of a sense of revenge? It's okay to be honest. I'm not saying you acted on it, but have you ever had the thoughts? Yeah? I could admit that I have too. But luckily, Uncle Hammer has family members that are trying to help calm him down out of their protection. Have you had people in your life help calm you down to keep you safe and keep the surroundings safe? Yeah? Yeah, maybe? Voices? Yes or no? Yeah? Okay. Just making sure. When I see head nods, I can't really tell as much. So do you see that connection? Can you connect with Uncle Hammer's feelings right now? All right.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I was loud because I didn't have my mask on. I panicked.
No problem. So, Mama and Big Ma, they're saying, I don't know about this, Uncle Hammer. Like you guys said, if you're standing up for yourself, that you could get tortured, Night Riders, tarred and feathered. So what is Big Ma trying to protect when she says that? When she says, what is she trying to protect?
Uncle Hammer.
What was that?
Uncle Hammer.
The lamb.
Oh, Uncle Hammer, and what was that?
The
The lamb. Their lamb. So we can just type this one the land. We're at the top of 152. Yes. 152, top of 152. Papa looked up from the fire. That may be, honey, but we put up this land to back this thing, and it'll be just like giving it away. Times like they are, it ain't likely that any of these people can pay the bills they make, as much as they might mean to. And if they can't pay, where would we be? We've got no cash money to pay other folks' debts. He shook his head. No, we'll have to find another way. Go to Vicksburg, maybe, and see what we can arrange. His eyes fell upon me in the shadows, and he leaned forward. Cassie, what is it, sugar? Nothing, Papa, I mumbled. I just woke up, that's all. Mama started to rise, but Papa motioned her down and got up himself. Escorting me back to bed, he said gently, Got no cause for bad dreams, Cassie girl. Not tonight, anyway. Papa, I said, snuggling under the warm quilts as he tucked them around me. We gonna lose our land? Papa reached out and softly touched my face in the darkness. If you remember nothing else in your whole life, Cassie girl, remember this. We ain't never gonna lose this land. You believe that? Yes, sir, Papa. Then go to sleep. Christmas is coming. Books, cried little man on Christmas morning. What do you think little man got for Christmas? That's a nice present. For Stacy, there was the Count of Monte Cristo. For me, the Three Musketeers. And for Christopher John and little man, 2 different volumes of Aesop's Fables. You have a lot of those books? So they're nice, good classics that we could call. On the inside cover of each book in Mama's fine hand was written the name of the owner. Mine read, This book is the property of Miss Cassie Deborah Logan, Christmas 1933. Man sold me them books, told me these 2 was written by a black man, Papa said. Opening my book and pointing to a picture of a man in a long, fancy coat and a wig full of curly hair that fell to his shoulders. Name of Alexander Dumas, a French fellow. His daddy was a mulatto, and his grandma was a slave down on one of them islands. Martinique. Marqueux, is that how you pronounce it?
Is it Martinique?
Martinique, yeah.
Yeah.
Martinique.
Yes.
Thank you.
French owned. Well, it's not French owned. The French took it.
Man said to me, they write hard reading for children, but I told him he didn't know my babies. They can read them now, I said. They'll grow into them. In addition to the books, there was a sock full of once-a-year store-bought licorice, oranges, and bananas for each of us, and from Uncle Hammer, a dress and a sweater for me, and a sweater and a pair of pants each for Christopher John and Little Man. But nothing compared to the books. Little Man, who treasured clothes above all else, carefully laid his new pants and sweater aside and dashed for a clean sheet of brown paper to make a cover for his book. And throughout the day, as he lay upon the deerskin rug looking at bright, shining pictures of faraway places, turning each page as if it were gold, he would suddenly squint down at his hands, glance at the page he had just turned, then dash into the kitchen to wash again, just to make sure. Are the Logan kids used to having books of their own?
No.
When they went to school, who remembers what was so significant about going to school?
There were books.
There were books. Jackie.
Little man was the only black kid to own it.
Sorry, say that again?
Middleman was the only black kid to own it. He was the first black man to own it.
And remember when they were writing in the books how they had the page that said this book belongs to and the condition of the book? So these are their own books, and they have their names in them, written with Christmas. Do you see why Little John would treat each page like gold?
Yeah.
Because they've never had this before. This is a new possession for them. Really.
Did you see Little John?
Oh, was I wrong about that? Who was turning each page like gold?
Little man.
Little man, sorry. Little John is a that's the exact page I was referring to. So let's say that in the plot, what did they receive for Christmas that was so precious to them? Who received the books?
We need a slide. Are we doing it?
Oh, we're just adding this in. The Logan kids received what?
Books.
New books. RECEIVED, received new books for Christmas.
They only got coats and dresses and stuff.
But what did they value the most?
Books.
The books. Top of 154 after the page break. After the church services, the Averys returned home with us for Christmas dinner. All 8 of the Avery children, including the 4 preschoolers, crowded into the kitchen with the boys and me, smelling the delicious aromas and awaiting the call to eat. But only the eldest girls, who were helping Big Mama, Big Ma, and Mrs. Avery prepare the fishing touches to the meal, were allowed to remain. You can be working on Lexia or epic books, but not sitting here doing nothing. The rest of us were continuously being shooed out by Big Ma. Finally, the announcement we were all waiting for was made, and we were allowed to begin the Christmas feast. The meal lasted for over 2 hours through firsts, seconds, and thirds, talk and laughter, and finally, dessert. When we were finished, the boys and I, with Claude and TJ, went outside, but the half-inch layer of snow made everything sloppy, so we soon went back in and joined the adults by the fire. Shortly afterward, there was a timid knock on the door. Stacy opened the door and found Jeremy Sims standing there looking frozen and very frightened as he peered into the bright room. Everyone turned to stare at him. Stacy glanced around at Papa, then back at Jeremy. You want to come in?" he asked awkwardly. Jeremy nodded and stepped hesitantly inside. As Stacy motioned him toward the fire, Uncle Hammer's eyes narrowed and he said to Papa, "He looks like a Sims." "I believe he is," agreed Papa. "Then what the devil? Let me handle it," Papa said. Jeremy, who had heard, flushed a deep red and quickly handed Mama a small burlap bag. I brung them for y'all." Mama took the bag. As she opened it, I peeped over her shoulder. The bag was full of nuts. "Nuts?" I questioned. "Nuts? Why, we got more nuts now than we know what." "Cassie," Mama scowled, "what have I told you about that mouth of yours?" Then she turned to Jeremy.
Well said, Mama.
This is very thoughtful of you, Jeremy, and we appreciate them. Thank you. Is it polite if you already have a bunch of nuts at your house and somebody's bringing you some nuts to eat, like peanuts, cashews, almonds? Is it polite to be like, "Oh my gosh, we already have so many of those"?
No.
And
That's
it's not like Jeremy has money, so he worked to get those nuts, or took them from his house or something.
a very kind gesture of him to want to share with the Logan family. nodded slightly as if he did not know how to accept her thanks and stiffly handed a slender, paper-wrapped object to Stacy. "Made this for ya," he said. Stacy looked at Papa to see if he should take it. For a long moment, Papa studied Jeremy, then he nodded. "It ain't much," stammered Jeremy as Stacy tore off the wrapping. "Made it myself." Stacy slid his fingers down the smooth, sanded back of a wooden flute. "Go ahead and try it," said a pleased Jeremy. "It blows real nice." Again, Stacy looked at Papa, but this time Papa gave him no indication what he should do. "Thanks, Jeremy, it's real nice," he said finally. Then, flute in hand, he stood uncomfortably by the door, waiting for Jeremy to leave. What was Papa doing by not telling telling Stacy what to do? Annie?
He was telling him he has to make his own decisions on his own, like how he gave the jacket to TJ.
Yeah, make that own decision. Maybe learn from past experiences. Who else put Stacy in that position to be a man and take care of the responsibility
Mr.
himself?
Morrison.
Mr. Morrison, when, David? Put that mask back on, please.
When he let when he let Stacy tell Big Mom that they went to Strawberry, the Wallace store.
So Stacy's getting a lot of opportunities to act maturely, to grow, to have the experience of growing up and making decisions for himself, taking on his own responsibility. When Jeremy did not move, top of 156. When Jeremy did not move, Papa asked, "You Charlie Sims boy?" Jeremy nodded. "Yes, sir." "Your daddy know you here?" Jeremy bit his lower lip and looked at his feet. No, sir, I reckon not." Why is Jeremy stuttering so much?
Because he's scared.
He's scared? Why would he be scared? Javier. Was that a hand? Oh, sorry. Why would he be scared? Turn and talk to your partner. Why would Jeremy be nervous to go see the Logans and give them a gift? He's a son of Mr. Sims. Talk and tell Annie your idea, Javier. Alright, let's see. Jackie.
Because they're black.
Okay, they're black. And what about, okay, let's see who can add on. Volunteer. Carmen!
Because Uncle Homer there, he probably knows.
Oh, I can't hear you.
He probably knows what had happened to Cassie. And since Papa's there, and Uncle Hammer's there too.
Yeah, because
Naya, add on.
I think maybe he was a little scared because he's white and he doesn't know what Cassie's Papa and Uncle Hammer will think of him because his sister was the one who pushed Cassie.
Right, and remember, what was Jeremy's response when Mr. Sims was saying, "Cassie, you need to apologize," and pushing Cassie into the street? What was Jeremy's response to that? Roman.
He was like saying like to stop and stuff.
And did his best without wanting to confront his dad to stand up for Cassie, saying she already apologized.
Yeah.
And now he's showing up to their house with a gift. Do you think his dad wants him there?
No.
No way. So, yes, Annie.
Andy's scared because Mr. Morrison and Uncle Hammer are strong men and they can squish him in a minute.
Right, they're big, so just their size and their presence is also intimidating. So, in the plot,
Well, there are 3 adult males in that house right now.
right, all of quite big size.
Morrison, Hammer, and the dad.
Yeah.
Usually, there's no men there except Mr. Morrison, who's not usually in the house.
So it was a new, people who weren't usually there were visiting, so it was a new experience. Right. So who came to visit?
Jeremy.
Oh, I'm on
or Mexican or something like that, and the son of a white supremacist that you have trouble with came to your house looking, to be friends with your kid. Wouldn't that be weird?
Yeah.
Very.
Wouldn't you be like, does your dad know you're here,
Are you sure you're not gonna get us killed?
Right, exactly. Are you sure you're not going to get us killed?
Right.
Well said, David. I mean, right to the point.
Well said.
So Jeremy came to visit, and what did he give them?
Nuts.
Mrs. Clark, you said Jeremy came visit.
Thank you. Jeremy came to visit with nuts as a gift.
And the flute.
Oh, and a flute for Stacy. Nice.
Which has been in his mouth, by the way.
Would you, for right now, would you want anything that's been inside someone else's mouth
No.
to keep as your own? No way.
But
Depends if
to
it's
the
my mom.
family, I mean, it's not just a toy. It's like something he's put in his mouth, and they want, it's just a little bit. Help me out here, Ms. Clark.
Disgusting.
It's a little not disgusting. I
Well,
mean, a gift is a gift, and of course an instrument needs to be played so you know it works. But it seems a little too familiar, a little too intimate, a little bit too close. And I don't know how to.
I'm not sure what.
Awkward.
I'm
What I
not.
mean?
No.
Well, okay, so Jeremy is white, and he's coming to their house, and they're not. They're black. And there's something about, just being. Let me think about how to say it.
Okay.
Give me permission to think about it. Thank you.
So we brought nuts as a gift for the Logan family and a flute for Stacy. So we're at the top of 156. Your daddy know you here? Jeremy bit his lower lip and looked at his feet. No, sir, I reckon not. Then I expect you better be getting on home, son, before he come looking for you. Yes, sir, said Jeremy, backing away. As he reached the door, I cried after him. Merry Christmas, Jeremy. Jeremy looked back and smiled shyly. Merry Christmas to you all, too. TJ made no comment on Jeremy's visit until both Papa and Uncle Hammer had left the room. He was afraid of Papa and downright terrified of Uncle Hammer, so he never had much to say when either was around. But now that they had gone outside with Mr. Avery, he said, "You ain't gonna keep that thing, are you?" Stacy looked malevolently at TJ, and I knew that he was thinking of the coat. "Yeah, I'm gonna keep it." "Why?" TJ shrugged. "Nothing. 'Ceptin' I sure wouldn't want no whistle some old white boy been blowing on." I watched Stacy closely to see if he was going to allow himself to be goaded by TJ. He was not. "Aw, stuff it, TJ," he ordered. "Oh man, don't get me wrong," said TJ quickly. "You want to keep the old thing, it's up to you. But for me, somebody give me something, I want it to be something fine, like the pretty little pearl-handled pistol." When the Averys had left, Stacy asked, "Papa, how come Jeremy give me this flute? I mean, I didn't give him nothing." "Maybe you did give him something," said Papa, lighting his pipe. "No, sir, Papa, I ain't never give him nothing." "Not even your friendship?" "Well, not really. I mean, he's a crazy kid and he likes to walk to school with us, but you like him?" Stacy frowned, thinking, I told him I didn't want him walking with us, but he keeps on anyway, and the white kids laugh at him 'cause he do, but he don't seem to let it bother him none. I suppose I like him all right. Is that wrong? "No," Papa said carefully. "That ain't wrong. Actually, he's much easier to get along with than TJ. Stacy went on. And I suppose if I let him, he could be a better friend than TJ. Papa took the pipe from his mouth, rubbed his mustache, and spoke quietly. Far as I'm concerned, friendship between black and white don't mean that much, 'cause it usually ain't on an equal basis. Right now, you and Jeremy might get along fine, but in a few years he'll think of himself as a man, but you'll probably still be a boy to him. And if he feels that way, he'll turn on you in a minute. But Papa, I don't think Jeremy'd be that way. Papa's eyes narrowed, and his resemblance to Uncle Hammer increased. We Logans don't have much to do with white folks. You know why? Because white folks mean trouble. You see blacks hanging around with whites, they're headed for trouble. Maybe one day whites and blacks can be real friends, but right now, the country ain't built that way. Reading groups? Can we get to this page break? And then you guys can go. Thanks, Javier. Now you could be right about Jeremy making a much finer friend than TJ ever will be. The trouble is, down here in Mississippi, it costs too much to find out, so I think you better not try. Why would it cost too much? What could it cost them?
Their lives.
Their entire life. Stacy looked full into Papa's face and read his meaning. On my way to bed, I stopped by the boys' room to retrieve an orange Christopher John had swiped from my stocking and spied Stacy fingering the flute. As I stood in the doorway, he lingered over it, then carefully rewrapping it, placed it in his box of treasured things. I never saw the flute again. I know, reading group, it's time for you to go at your noon time.
I thought it was 1:30 that evening.
1 to 1:30. They'll end at 1:30. Yeah.